Welcome to another manga recap. As usual, the video was mixed for headphones. Use headphones for a better experience. Also, help your boy out and hit that subscribe button. Today's video is about Blackstorm Part 3. Part 1 and 2 will be linked in the description. Without further ado, enjoy the video. The truth was that she couldn't go in detail, but someone was targeting her. If Gia is alive, he will find out for sure. In other words, this meant that Tristan could get in trouble again. Out of all the reasons she didn't contact him, this was the reason? This was amusing, so all of this was for him. So was she saying that he was the reason why she didn't show up? Does he still look like a child who can't even protect himself? It was not like that, but overall she just thought it was a better option. She thought that he was in danger. That was the only reason she didn't show up, right? Tristan was angry. Clueless as usual, Gia had absolutely no idea why Tristan was so angry. Pouting a bit, Tristan decides that this subject is not worth debating. Because she didn't need his money, she didn't think it was necessary to show up when it might endanger him as well. In conclusion, she still thinks that she did well. Also, the truth was that she felt really embarrassed when Jay appeared in commercials or TV. And by Jay, she is referring to the thing Tristan did to save the kids all over the world. She was secretly happy because it felt like it was a huge reward. That was her little happiness. Out of nowhere, somebody interrupts their discussion. She told him that she wouldn't be easy with money, right? While Gia turns her head surprised, Tristan tells Laura to shut up. Seeing her, Gia quickly gets up, getting ready to welcome her. She doesn't even get to say her name, that Laura instantly jumps and hugs her. Tristan was calmly reserved, as always, watching them from afar. While still hugging her and crying a bit, Laura thanks her for saving her life. Gia takes a second to reply, and then in proper Gia fashion, she's like, "Did I save your life? What do you mean? Of course you saved her life." With tears of joy coming out of her eyes, she says that it's true, she saved her and Tristan as well. After a second of silence, Gia realizes that she should reply. Stumbling her words a bit, she says that she was just lucky. Thinking about what they went through, Gia says that they were really reckless when they were young. Tristan agrees, she was really reckless. As usual, Tristan was still annoyed. Laura defends Gia, asking him to speak a little more softly. In return, more annoyed, he tells her to take a seat quickly. By the way, how did Tristan manage to find her? Flexing a bit, Tristan asks her, "What, did you think I wouldn't find you?" Because there was no trace left of her. Yes, she did. Her identity changed through 2 adoptions, making her perfectly Lian. She was sure that no one would recognize her even when she was featured in the newspaper as SWAT. So, her question was, how did he find her? Noticing that they made eye contact for the first time since she arrived, Gia stops a bit in her words. Tristan grabs her by her hand and tells her that he decided from the moment she saved him that he was going to somehow find her. Therefore, he started looking for her with everything he had, searching through the records of everyone who came and went from the Amazon during that time. Gia was speechless. The entire Amazon? Did he go that far? Well, yes, it takes a long time to keep track of it all. Even then, she didn't come out, so they had to consider the possibility that she wasn't out officially. So, Colombia and Brazil, Peru, Venezuela and Bolivia. He searched everything that he could find. From the day they broke up, he had no choice but to keep searching and searching. Smiling at her, Laura says that Tristan was really persistent. An Asian girl with just one trace of her name, Gia. They spent thousands of people searching for her, but every time he couldn't find even a single hair. At some point, he thought that her adoptive father, who was from the British Special Forces, was hiding her. In reality, it was Gia's greatest luck to have met her adoptive father who was hiding that day. Thanks to her adoptive father who took pity on her and persuaded his superiors as witnesses with information, she was able to get out of the jungle without leaving any records whatsoever. How did Tristan even know that she will be alive? There was no way that she was dead, she had to be alive. She just had to be alive somewhere, somehow. That was his only choice. He had to think that she was alive and keep going. While kissing her hand, he says that he finally found her. Look at Laura, she looks so funny. I love this art style. Laura takes a second to reply and then takes her hand out, blushing. Hiding her face, she doesn't know what she should say in a time like that. She didn't know what to say. Without giving them enough time to finish their conversation, somebody interrupts them. An uninvited guest has arrived. A bit annoyed, Tristan says that he really doesn't like that woman. Laura laughs a bit, but it looked like she kind of agreed with him. She just wanted to see her son's face after a long time, so why were they stopping her? Until she was going to remarry, she will be able to enjoy all of Mackenzie's family private property. It was clearly stated in her husband's will. Even so, this will be really difficult if she comes without prior reservation. Reservation? It's ridiculous that she has to make an appointment to meet her own family. Turning towards a young boy that was next to her, she asked him if he thought that as well. Opening the door, Tristan comes out asking what's the fuss about. The woman was happy to see him. He was there as expected. She wondered what would happen if they couldn't meet. But now that they were there, she tells the young boy to say hello to his brother. The kid takes a step forward and says hello to Tristan. Friendly as usual, Laura approaches him, saying hi, long time no see, Liam. Long time? Was it even a long time? The woman says hi to Laura as well. She heard that there was a guest there, looking towards Tristan. Seeing Gia, she asks who is that lady. Hearing that, Gia instantly gets up and starts moving towards the lady. Tristan interrupts her. She was his guest, because this was an important meeting. Further conversation would be difficult. The woman looked troubled. She was so happy to see her son after so long. Did she get in his way? She didn't know that he was still looking for that Asian girl. As expected, she looked just like that. Actually, there must have been many women who came to Tristan before claiming to be Jay. Ignoring her, seeing that Liam wanted to talk, he tells him to feel free to talk since he was just about to go. Tristan was calmly watching him. A bit shy and not ready to talk, he calls out to his mom. In the meantime, Gia was slowly approaching them. Before she gets to talk, she notices Liam. Seeing her, he was curious as well. She was looking, oh my god, his eyes. Look at his eyes. Damn. Without saying a word to each other, Gia raises her hand and Liam grabs her. He looked like Tristan when he was young. What, did he want to say something to her? Liam was still watching her without saying anything. A little bit annoyed, his mother interrupts him, asking him what was he doing. He had to not do anything rude. Smiling a bit, Tristan says that it looked like instinctively, among all the people there, Liam recognized the person who was the most friendly to him. Her mother was pretty angry. She apologizes to Gia, saying that her child got on her nerves. Gia says that it's okay, she didn't mind. She kneels down on his level, saying that it's nice to meet him. He also says hello to her. Her mother says that she thinks that he's amazed because it's the first time seeing an Asian person in person. Laura wasn't buying this. What? How many Asians are there here? They secretly treat people like spectacles. Putting her hand on her back, Laura tells her that they should go. Gia was thinking to herself that she looks unusual. While they were leaving, they could hear the woman saying that Liam missed his brother a lot. Is that so? Well, probably she didn't come all that way to say that. What business did she have with him? This was cold. If he kept treating her like that, she might get hurt. There were still a lot of legal issues, but he was still her son. She still raised him as her son for 12 years. To take away even a little more of the lumber industry. It felt really burdensome to say that while there were 5 lawsuits in progress. This was different. Disagreeing, Tristan says that family, money and love is different. That's an interesting statement. This was happening because she was upset with his father. What could be her fault after all? As brutal as usual, Tristan says that she may not know about love, but she probably needed him. After her husband, he was probably the next holder who will always be ripped off. She was a bit taken aback hearing all those vulgar words. While he was looking at Lian, she apologizes if Tristan felt that way. This woman still only cared about the insults she received and didn't care about her own son, an unknown actor who took the place of his deceased mother. He never once thought of her as his mother. It was very hard to hide behind a sweet and kind smile, because her shallow desires were so vivid. What she enjoyed the most in her position as Mrs. Mackenzie were all the expensive things that she could buy in any quantity that she wanted. It was love for all those things, not for him. But who knows, maybe she really loved him, but the truth was, when his father's will was revealed, she broke down when she realized that her part was poor. Outside, Laura tells Gia that she really doesn't like that woman. Her name was Vivian. That was Tristan's stepmother, right? Yes. Also, it was really annoying that she was ignoring her every time when they met. Also, she had no clue why, but she thought of her as Tristan's mistress. Smiling a bit, Gia was really happy seeing that their relationship was still the same. A bit quiet, Gia turns towards the house. Did she say that Tristan's younger brother's name was Lian? It was just like watching Tristan's childhood. It seemed like he was having a hard time between his brother and his mother. When the poor kid was just sitting on the floor playing, she interrupts him. She starts yelling at him, telling him that she told him time and time again not to eat anything that falls on the floor. Who did he resemble that he caused so much trouble? The kid stumbled a bit, apologizing. Trying to calm herself a bit, she sits down, saying that that is not what's important now. The reason she came today was because she had something to show him. Throwing a lot of papers on the table, she says that they are good girls from good families. Looking at some of them, Tristan calmly replies that he didn't know that she was interested in his marriage. She says that now is the time for him to have fun and start a family. Tristan already knew what she wanted, but she tries to defend herself, pretending that she had no clue what he was referring to. If he gets married and have children, Liam will be pushed as a successor. Realizing that Tristan won't be as easy to fool, she was a bit annoyed. She tries to defend herself, saying that anyone who hears that will probably think that Liam was bored to target the Mackenzie family. Absolutely unfazed, Tristan is like, isn't it? No, she just wanted to create a new family member for him and his father because he was such a lonely child. He was lonely, huh? Thinking about Liam's situation, he says that he doesn't know which one of them is truly lonely. While getting up, he tells her since she came such a long way, she was going to tell her some good news. That Asian woman who will receive more money than her and Liam, he found her. Hearing this, Vivian was looking kind of frightening. With a huge smile on his face, he turns around and leaves. Liam was looking at his mother without saying anything. He calls out to her, but he gets no answer. She calls out to Kane, who instantly answers. She tells him to find everything about that Asian woman that they saw earlier. A little bit later, the night covered the city. They were in a car waiting for the green light to go. Feeling that something was wrong, Laura asks her if they are uncomfortable. No, it was not like that. She knew that it might be a bit embarrassing, but no, they were really happy. Tristan looked for her for such a long time. Saving Laura was just a bonus for Tristan, but even so, she is really glad that she found her sister. Anytime was fine, she really wanted to meet her at least once. Actually, she thought that they would meet after she died. Well, that could happen. Gia also never thought that they would meet like that. While they were talking, Laura couldn't notice that she was looking really tired. Out of nowhere, Gia tells Laura to drop her there. Drop her there? Why? She has to go a little bit further to In that moment, she stops talking, but Gia already understood. They even knew her home address. Gia tells Laura that it's better to go back now. It's dangerous at night because the security isn't that good. Well, if it's dangerous for her, then it's dangerous for her as well. Smiling at her, Gia says that she's okay. Drive carefully. After that, she watches Gia slowly walking away. While walking away, she couldn't stop thinking about what Laura said. Tristan looked for her for such a long time. Why? Why on earth did he spend so much time on something from the past that it didn't really matter? While she was in deep thought, somebody calls out her name. She says hi to a guy called Paul. Where did she leave her car and why was she walking? It was stolen about 3 weeks ago. What? Could it be that she parked it in front of her house? Was she crazy enough to park her car in a neighborhood like that? I mean, those who took it were at fault. A bit annoyed, Paul tells her that she should be a good guard and protect her things better. Was he running errands? She was going to help. Hearing a commotion, Paul tells her to look behind. It looked like there were more people like Lian. It looked like it was a very luxurious car. Also, those guys have been going around causing all sorts of troubles around there lately. Hearing that, Gia throws the stuff that he had on Paul, telling him that she has some business to do. After that, she starts sprinting towards the guys that they just saw. One of the guys was knocking at the car's window. They were telling the lady inside of the car to get out when they say so. The person inside the car was Laura. While she was trying to call Tristan, the guy who's outside the door tells her that he has a gun and if she's not going to open the door, she will get out covered in blood. In that moment, she hears a loud sound coming from outside. Gia was already there. The guy who was threatening Laura was already subdued on the hood of the car. The other two were laughing. What was that Asian woman saying now? They teased the third guy, asking him if he's embarrassed being assaulted by a woman. Turning around with a look in her eyes like she was going to kill them, she asked them to lower their guns and get out of there. The third guy was angry. Was she playing the hero? Did that gun look like a joke? The other two guys were pointing their guns towards Gia. They gave Gia the option to just walk away and don't mend in their business. She replies that that is not possible. That girl was her guest. That's so. Perfect. Then she could tell her herself to just get out of the car. Then he was going to save them both. He almost never kills a woman. So she better just give up and walk away. Gia was watching him calmly. While he was still speaking, suddenly he feels a very strong pain in his arm. Laura was panicking really hard. That was so reckless. They had to quickly call the police. Without even enough time to finish her sentence, Laura starts being concerned for the guys, not for Gia. After she reports the situation to the police, Laura closes the call. Getting closer to Gia, she says that the police will be there soon. That was good, even so it was still dangerous, so she wanted Laura to stay in the car. The guy was really angry. All of them were beat up on the floor. He starts yelling at her, saying that they knew who she was. How dare her touch them? He was not going to leave her alone, even if he had to chase her to the end of hell. In that moment, Gia starts remembering her past. Those were the same words that she heard from Jesus when she left him in the burning forest. Seeing that she was out of it, Laura shakes her a bit, asking her if she was okay. In the meantime, the police and the ambulance arrived. There was never a quiet day in the city. While the policeman was getting closer to them, Gia was smiling. A little bit tired of this, the cops is like, Lian, is it you again? My dude is used to her. She's a known client of the police. Checking their condition, one of the cops says that there are signs of assault including fractures and one person has a gunshot wound. Really annoyed on her, he yells a bit, asking her if she can't just live quietly. She laughs it off, saying, sorry. Seeing the way they talked with each other, Laura thought that they knew each other. Remembering what just happened, Laura starts yelling at the cops to arrest them. They had to arrest them all. A little bit later, they go to the police section. The place was as busy as they get, with both civilians and cops surrounded. The guy who found Lian fighting those guys enters the room. Gia was just waiting there with handcuffs. Pickpocketing a month ago, stabbing 3 weeks ago. It looked like the blonde guy was in trouble. Even so, Gia was in trouble as well. Getting ready to write down the details, the cop asks her, so what is it again this time? With a poker face like this is something that happens every day, she says, I shot a car thief. Even the guy says that those guys were out of luck having to deal with Gia. Even so, what made her so angry? Usually it's not that extreme. Even so, Gia says that she was not angry at all. He tells her to stop causing trouble every time she goes out, cause every time when they meet she's in trouble. He tells her that she needs to stay there for a while since he needs to go to the hospital to see how the guys are doing. Right now, one guy insisted that she started an argument and took his gun. Still, since there were witnesses, it looked like it will be easy to find the truth. Outside, Laura was talking on her phone, I think talking with Tristan, I'm not sure. She asked the cops if there's no need to worry about Gia. The cops were talking with each other about the fact that the guys had a murder record. They were famous in that area as well. Laura was afraid that at this rate she will run into Gia at the morgue. Interrupting the conversation, a guy introducing himself saying that he heard that Miss Lian Saker was there, so he came there. Giving his business card, he introduces himself as Gia's attorney. Gia was in shock. No way, a lawyer? Even the cop was absolutely surprised. Whose lawyer was that? What was going on? When they get out of the police section, Gia was a bit surprised and annoyed at the same time. What was this? Tristan was waiting there, smiling at her like he owned the place. Slowly walking up to him, she asked him what about Laura. He sent her home first. She must have been very surprised. Gia wanted Tristan to tell her that it's very dangerous to walk around in that neighborhood at night. In reality, Laura was fuming, saying that she's looking forward to feed them beans and rice. Also, about that lawyer from earlier. Before they manage to finish the conversation, the cop appears behind them. He asks Leah why is she still there since the investigation was already over, so she could go back for today. Okay, his name is Philip. She quickly thanks him and starts pushing Tristan away. After that, Philip and a friend of his realize that it was Mackenzie. No way, was that actually Mackenzie? Gia was frantic. She wanted to just push Tristan away, telling Philip through sign language that she will contact him later. After a while, they get in a car and leave. Both of them were sitting in the back of the car, quiet. She tells the driver to go 2 blocks further, turn right and stop. Hearing that, Tristan was quiet. He gently taps Gia on her shoulder. Getting close to her, he is straightforward as usual and asks her if she is embarrassed. She was basically dragging him in front of the man they saw earlier, like she was trying to hide him. She can't even make eye contact. Her face is red as something embarrassing just happened. She says that that is not the case, but my guy was spitting facts. In reality, it was ridiculous that she actually felt embarrassed from Tristan. The reason for this was that she was looking at her like that. He was looking at her as he was trying to tear out everything inside her. Getting even more closer to her, he asks her why isn't she looking at him. The answer was that it was hard to meet that gaze because it was bothering her. Tristan grabs her head and turns her towards him. He really wanted her to look him in the eyes when they were talking. He really wanted to know how she lived, how did she grow up so far. He wanted to see it with his own eyes. It was not fair for him to not know that since she always observed him. She wasn't observing him, she just thought that he was pretty, that was all. Hearing that, Tristan shakes her, a little bit annoyed. What was she saying? Was she saying that she was just going to protect anyone if they were pretty like him? No, absolutely not. Tristan was a special case. This took him by surprise a little bit. But after recovering from that, a big smile appears on his face. While Tristan was patting her head, she realized that she didn't think he was the type of person to smile like this before. The truth was that at that time, she just needed something to occupy herself with. Unlike the cruel reality, he was just as pretty as a dream. If you have something to focus on, you'll have fewer bad thoughts. So protecting him was also part of her fantasy. The most sparkling angel sent from heaven. She had to protect it somehow. She was going to cherish it. The person she was now may just be a dream dreamt by a young Gia. Her dream of becoming an adult like that. She was afraid that when she'll open her eyes, everything will disappear and only the jungle will greet her again. In the middle of a big green tomb that you can't really escape from. Seeing that Gia was lost in thought, Tristan tells to the driver to go to the mansion. Obviously, Gia wanted to know why they were going at his house. He quickly answers that at this time, a man and a woman are going home together. The purpose should be obvious. What? What? After a bit of silence, she looks at him shocked. What? Her and him? What was that ridiculous face? Tristan was annoyed. No, she didn't want him to misunderstand her. She never thought that they were ever that close. Tristan says that that is the most novel bullshit he's ever heard that year. She saved his life, but they are not even close friends? What does she mean by that? Again, clueless, Gia says that it just happened by chance. The driver was kinda shocked. The chairman was being dumped by a woman. Even more annoyed, Tristan asks her, was it all a coincidence that you hit that beast? She says once again, yes. Tristan slaps himself. Even after all that, she asks Tristan once again if he can just drop her at her house. Of course, Tristan ignored her and they arrived at his mansion. He tells Gia that she's probably tired, so it's better if she goes and sleep. Well, that was true, she was tired. Argument with bullies, police stations, and also Tristan. When they enter the mansion, Tristan points out to one of the employees to guide her to the bedroom. While she was leaving, Tristan couldn't help but think about what Gia said, about being a coincidence that she saved him. No matter how many excuses she had, that was not true. Since his schedule was busy, Tristan turns around and leaves. He was talking with, I think that's the lawyer. The gun was pointed at that person. Was it a dangerous situation? After assessing the details and studying what happened, he thinks that it was not a dangerous situation. Also, Gia was not a civilian, she was a trained agent. Hearing this, Tristan was quiet, he didn't like the answer. He was going to say it again, that was not a dangerous situation. Okay, never mind, it's not the lawyer, his name is Miller, a former SAS soldier and mercenary. So I think what happened here, Tristan hired him to follow Gia and help her if anything happens. And he's saying that it was not a dangerous situation, so there was no reason for him to intervene. Even if Tristan knew that Miller's judgment was right, that's not what he meant. Since he was paid, he had to ensure Gia's safety, and Tristan was angry that he didn't do so. He replies that he told them to do it in secretly without Gia noticing them. He just couldn't step in that situation. Well, that might be true, but it was different when a gun was pointed at her head. As long as he was being paid, he shouldn't have made her do anything, even if it meant killing all three of them. He still thinks that he made the best choice. Tristan didn't agree. If those three petty thieves would be in the morgue with holes drilled in their heads, he would be happy, not like this. After that, he says that their contract ended there. He was sorry. Miller was a bit taken aback, but after 1 second, he quickly turns around and leaves without saying anything. After he was gone, Tristan relaxes a bit and leans back on the sofa. Mr. Miller was right. Laura was taking his side as well. It wasn't that dangerous, there was no agent like him, so why was he being so sensitive about it? It was his job to prioritize Gia's safety no matter the situation. What if he left her alone and got hurt? Laura disapproves, the entire team were experts, and above all, her sister was not that weak. Tristan already knew this. Out of everyone involved in that situation, Gia was probably the most calm person there. Just like she did in front of Muka when they were young. Laura was just listening to him. Well, if he knew, why was he taking out his anger on someone who is so strict? He tells her that she's noisy and asks her if she wants to be kicked out as well. Laura was triggered. He had the personality of a dirty dog. He was so annoying. It's not a day or two that she ran into this guy who has such a twisted personality. In the end, she was the one who took a step back every time. There was always one reason why Tristan lost his temper like that. She remembered when they were still searching for Gia. Tristan was losing it. He was fighting all the employees that were trying to help him. He was desperate to find Gia and was really angry when people were telling him that she had no chances of survival. He honestly thought that everyone around him was incompetent and Gia was still alive somewhere. He just had to keep looking. Seeing him so desperate to find her sister, Laura couldn't really say much. Even so, at some point she interrupts him, grabbing him by his hand. Even if she doesn't want to believe it, she also thought that her sister was dead. They should stop. With no reaction, he takes his hand out of Laura's. He tells her to not be ridiculous. If she was really dead, then there should have been at least one piece of bone found in the ashes. Whatever it took, he was definitely going to find her. He was almost going crazy. And after all that time he spent searching for her, finally, in the end, he have proven that there was nothing in this world that cannot be done by the way he wanted to. Laura was slightly smiling thinking of that. Giving up on arguing, she tells him that he's a terrible idiot. But did he know what? This time she could say that she benefited from his shitty personality. Thanks to him not giving up until the end, she was also able to meet Gia again. Back to Gia, she managed to arrive in the bedroom, but wasn't it too wide? The room was absolutely huge, everything was shining, everything was so elegant. While sitting on the bed, she thinks to herself that it was not her first time coming to a mansion like that, but the guest room, as Miss Woods mentioned, wasn't that big either. She should have gone back home after all. They brought up so many old stories on the way. While they were still in the car, Tristan said that, okay, let's say it was coincidence that she saved him once. But his life wasn't the only thing that she saved in the jungle. She looks at him a little bit confused. The reason why she and Laura fed him that strange fruit was for his sake. Okay, I don't understand what that fruit did. Maybe something like they fed him that fruit to, I don't know, make him feel sick so he won't fight when they broke up or something like that. I'm not sure. Even so, Tristan was really annoyed. She wasn't going to say that she forgot, right? She made him eat that disgusting fruit. Gia didn't know what to answer. At that time, he wondered why did they do such a thing. He realized it when he got older. She saved him again without even him knowing. After that, he kept thinking and thinking, how should he repay that favor? She didn't protect only his life, but she also protected his honor. This was new, but when she was looking at it close, the eyes were a really pretty color. She starts shaking her head. This was not the time to think at something like that. She really needed to get some rest, so she had the strength to get out of there. Without enough time to finish her thought, she looks behind her, feeling that something is watching her. What the? It looked like a jaguar or I don't know what that is, was behind her just casually watching her. It actually was a jaguar. Okay, I thought it was a toy or something. The jaguar was looking at her, slowly approaching. She instantly gets up, thinking to herself, where on earth did it come from? While the animal was getting closer and closer, she tries to calm herself down. Under no circumstance she could show her back to it. Step by step, she just had to slowly go back. Out of nowhere, the jaguar starts playing in the bed, just like a cat. It's literally a big cat. What is this image? Gia was speechless. Looking more careful, she notices that it had a necklace. That was a necklace with the letter J on it. Could this animal be raised by Tristan at this mansion? She didn't know what to think. And if you watch closely, it looked a little bit different from a jaguar. It was a cheetah. Okay, I thought I was right the first time. So the author is like, nope, it's not a jaguar, it's a cheetah. Okay, sure. While she was trying to pet it, the animal quickly turns around. Seeing that, she quickly apologizes. She didn't mean to bother him. Or her. Holy, look at those eyes. Even if it's a pet, if it looks at me like that, I don't know, dude, I'm getting scared. She tells it that she's so tired right now. Could she close her eyes there for a moment? In that moment, it looked like the cheetah understood what Gia meant and makes some space for her. While smiling, she thanks the animal and then gets on top of the bed next to it. She was going to take a short break and then go. Oh, look at this. This is so cute, dude. She wakes up to someone's voice saying, no, go down. He told him to go down. His name was Jay, apparently. She slowly wakes up, recognizing the voice. Jay was on top of him and Tristan was just watching this scene unfold. Oh my god, imagine waking up and you see like a cheetah 10 centimeters away from your face. That would be terrifying. Jay was just watching her. Aw, he starts licking her face and Gia starts laughing. She couldn't stop laughing since it tickled. Tristan was livid. He grabs Jay and takes him off Gia, saying that this looked uncomfortable. Gia said that she was fine. She was actually having fun. Turning towards Tristan, she asks him if he was raising it. Tristan says no, he didn't like animals. He went to Africa for work and ran into him by chance. A young cheetah that was left alone and its mother died and was practically accommodating to the people at the shelter. The principle is to protect wild animals for a while and then return them to the wild. But this particular cheetah, every time when he was released, he ended up hurt and go back to the shelter. He finally encountered this animal after many years of trying. This is when he was judged unfit to live in the wild. He first met him with staring eyes telling him to just take him away. On an impulse, he decided to take the beast. Those blind eyes were like he thought that they were just like Gia's when she was watching him in the jungle. Apparently, he was very good at following people. It just happened that he took care of him for a while, that was all. Okay, how long has he lived there? About 3 years. Yup, at this point he was raising him, he just didn't want to accept it. Seeing how friendly Jay was while Tristan was playing with him, Gia couldn't help but agree that that was true, he was really good at following people. But wasn't she scared? She almost got killed by this when she was in the jungle. Gia turns towards him and says that that was a jaguar and this was a cheetah. To him, they were all the same. Gia didn't agree, it seemed really different to her. While Tristan was playing with Jay, he couldn't help but think that Jay and Muka were two different creatures. This guy would probably not survive even 1 week in the jungle. He probably didn't even see the jungle in his whole life. Sick of his shenanigans, Tristan gets up. While turning away from Gia, he tells Jay to follow him. After Jay started following, Tristan started leaving the room. Before he could do that, Gia thanks him for giving him such a nice room. It has been a while since she had such a soft bed. It was also very spacious. Also, the blanket was really soft. Smiling a bit, Tristan says that these things she should already have since long ago. He casually turns towards Gia and is like, why don't you live here? Because she also had a house, come on Tristan. Right. That dangerous and dirty house. If she was going to spend one night there, maybe she was going to change her mind, right? Oh wait, okay, so it was not morning. She actually slept for like maybe half an hour, something like that. And now it was nighttime because while leaving the room, Tristan smiles at her saying good night, Gia. She tells Tristan to sleep well as well while smiling at him. This time, Tristan couldn't hide his smile. He was no longer that cool head poker face. He closes the door and then stops a bit. He deliberately chose a good night greeting because he didn't want to hear the word goodbye. A greeting that reminded him of the worst moment of his life. Was there any way he would want to hear it again? He was not going to make that mistake anymore. He tells the guards that whatever happens, don't leave the seat. If she needs anything, they just had to call him. Tristan wasn't going to let her disappear again in front of his eyes. That will never happen again. In her room on the balcony, Jion was thinking that it was pretty high. Jay was already in her room and was behind her again. She plays with him a bit and rubs his nose, asking him if he came to meet her. With a warm smile on her face, she says goodbye, Jay. She was just going to go back now. No! What do you mean? What do you mean she will go? Okay, listen, if she leaves again, like if she decides to go on a secret trip and disappear, I am quitting this channel. Outside, the guards were diligently doing their job. For a second, one of them heard something and quickly turns around to see what was going on. It was just another guard who didn't expect somebody to be there since he was working overtime because an important guest has arrived. The owner told him to keep the guest safe so nobody could leave until morning. That guest was Gia. Smiling a bit, she thinks to herself that she didn't mean to eavesdrop, but it just happened, so she was feeling a little bit sorry. After leaving the mansion, she starts running away in the opposite direction. A little bit later, she goes to a phone and starts calling somebody. She starts talking with somebody called Diego. That guy was sleeping. Diego asks her if she knows what the time is, since it was really late. She quickly apologizes, but says that she's in a hurry. Did he find what she asked him to find? She was talking about Jesus. This time, that guy really had an incident. He cut off boss's head and took his place. Because the leader changed overnight, there was no problem of power struggle. Hearing all this, Gia was more scared than ever. What the hell was he? Initially he thought it was just a small piece of food that was cleaned under the boss. Did Gia know in advance that he would do something like that? She did, that was the worst part. Even so, he moved faster than she expected. The cartel owned by Jesus was large in scale and in power and had reigned over that region for a very long time. Even if he was just an executive there, he would have been able to enjoy enough power. Jesus was not a man who will be satisfied with that level of power though. It looked like all the people that followed the old boss were purged. But more importantly, why was such a terrible guy looking for Gia? Other than being Asian, the names were completely different. Was she sure that it was the same person? She was. Even so, she was never going to let him hurt her. The guy was worried about Gia since she was his lifesaver. She was going to do everything that he could to tell her any useful information he will find. Gia was happy hearing that and quickly thanks him. He tells her to not worry that much, Jesus won't even find her shadow. Gia was planning to contact him once every 2 weeks. The guy agrees, saying that he will wait knowing that. Closing the call, he says, "See you next time, Lian. I love you." What? In obvious Gia fashion, she thinks to herself, the jokes are still the same, I don't think he's joking. Gia was in the military for a while before becoming a police officer. She met Diego there. After helping someone step on a booby trap in Afghanistan and almost getting in trouble, Diego said that she was his lifesaver and wanted to do anything for her. I mean, she was. Thanks to that, she was able to receive regular reports from Jesus' movements from Diego, who had joined the CIA. Even though time passed, she was very grateful for his help. But if there was one emotion that stayed longer in a person's heart than gratitude, it was the feeling of grudge. Changing her name and clearing her records, she tried to not leave any traces. If Jesus will find out that she is alive, she was most likely going to get killed. Contrary to her worries, no one came to visit her. So just for a while, she was relieved a little. Until, of course, in that day she bumped into Tristan again. The reality was that if Tristan found her, then Jesus can find her as well. It will take time because the cartel will need to be overhauled. Now that he has the power and money, it will only be a matter of time until he finds her. Then it was just about time that she should get ready. Inside, the guy, who I totally forgot the name, says, "Hey, you're finally back. What was it this time, lover, or was it the police station again?" Police station. Did it have to do anything with the gunshot sound he heard yesterday? Well, to some extent. It somehow seemed like her. Beth said that there was no way that she was not involved in that. The guy starts asking her if she had any breakfast at all and if she wants some bread. Okay. She says that she was okay. More than that, she had something to do. She says that she needs to get rid of the moth. I think that's code for I need to move. This was sudden. Moving to a better place was something to celebrate, but there was a reason. She was also planning to pay the rent by this month. A little bit concerned, the guy asks her if there was something wrong. She tries to laugh it off, saying that no, nothing happened. The problem was that the thing she's been putting off because she was scared was coming after her. The guy tells her that she looks really bad. He asks her if she wants some painkillers, which obviously she denies. He says that it would be way much easier if she takes medicine, but she's just so stubborn sometimes. He grabs her by the head and says, "Come on, you stubborn bastard." There were times when physical pain actually put her mind at ease. As long as she felt pain, this was the reality, not a jungle in a nightmare. Thick 3 branches that grab your ankles, a place where there are no sharp leaves that you can cut your face. Always full of happy people, a city that feeds on the dreams and hopes of such people. While she was daydreaming, somebody knocks on the door. Gia turns around a little bit concerned since that person was yelling, "I know everything, you're here." She told her to come to the dinner party. How dare her cheat on her? Just open this damn door already. Miss Wood was angry, almost crying. The redhead girl was counting money once again. She has been bribed by Miss Wood to let her in. Gia was a bit taken aback since she didn't expect her to just barge into the room. She looks away, trying to ignore her stare. She told her to come to the party. Well, she was not feeling well, she fell asleep. The truth was that she completely forgot. She had a blast with her brother again. It was pretty obvious that she had a hangover. Did she drink until she got drunk just like that? Well, she was not there. What should she do? She was lonely. Apologizing, Gia helps her sit down, telling her to drink some water to calm down. While she starts drinking the water, Gia was just watching her without saying anything. Gia says that she had something to say. Miss Wood instantly says no. What? She didn't know what she wanted to say. The answer was no, anyway. Gia should probably quit her job as bodyguard. The earlier the resignation date, the better. Miss Wood said no. What, did she think she came just to hear that? Gia was sorry for breaking her promise, but quitting her job is a different matter now. Miss Wood was quiet for a second without saying anything, and then she asks her, is it because of Mackenzie? She was the Asian girl he was looking for, right? When she tries to deny it, Miss Wood cuts her off, saying her to not even try since acting is her job. The truth was that Gia was always hiding something. She always wondered what that was, but she never thought it had something to do with Tristan Mackenzie. When a huge amount of family wealth is poured into finding the body of a person who might be dead, everyone said that Mackenzie went crazy from the shock of being kidnapped. Laughing it off a bit, Gia says that she doesn't know Mr. Mackenzie well, but if he had that level of persistence, he must be crazy then. Miss Wood was closely watching her. What's the story behind that facial expression? Even though they spent so much time together, there were so many things she didn't know about her. At first impression, she was just a blonde bodyguard who had nothing to be interested in. But after she realized that behind that expression there was some secret hidden away, she kept looking at it out of helpless curiosity. What she learned while watching Lian like that was some very good things about her character. Miss Wood was eavesdropping her bodyguards. They were basically bad-mouthing Miss Wood, talking a lot of bad things about her. The guards in question turn towards Gia, asking her if she agrees or not with them. She tells them that even if she was picky, they were an employer. It would be rude to gossip behind someone's private life. Miss Wood was very surprised to hear that. For the first time, she found someone who was not judging her. She grabs Gia by her hand, saying that she was doing it again. If she kept doing that, her nails will be damaged. The truth was that Miss Wood really started to like her. She asked her if she would stay if she gave her more money. Even if she'll get a higher amount of money, Gia was still planning to go. Miss Wood gets up annoyed. Yup, she was expecting this. She was annoyed and she was going home. Gia also gets up, trying to apologize for the situation and asking her a favor. What, was she going to ask to not tell this to Mackenzie? She quit her job. She didn't have any plans to just report this to Mackenzie. Unless Mackenzie married her, there was no way. Laughing it off a bit, Gia tries to help her since she was still stumbling. When she tried to do this, Miss Wood saw it happen. Gia was trembling. It looked like she was in a lot of pain suddenly and she fell. Again, she tries to laugh it off, saying that it's just a little hot. Obviously, Miss Wood didn't really believe her. This was strange. Gia was always surprisingly calm, but right now she was not. It seemed weird, but it looked like she was scared. Maybe it was just her mood. In a different location, a lot of documents showing the data about a person were sitting on a table. Tristan's stepmother and her bodyguard or assistant or whatever he is were trying to look into Gia. Long story short, before America, life in England was unknown, so they didn't have enough information on her. Then, the fact that she's really the woman Tristan was looking for is just a hypothesis? Okay, I got it. It was just a hypothesis. It was possible that the two of them may have agreed to talk together and lie for the money. According to the prenuptial agreement, the inheritance left to her was enough to allow her to live a luxurious life without worrying about money. But compared to the real assets of Mackenzie family, that amount was nothing more than pennies. Also, that family had power as much as wealth. You can't give up a position like that just for a few pennies. She even had a child to straighten her position in the family. Until Lian becomes an adult, he can enjoy everything as a member of the Mackenzie family. Now that her husband has passed away, what happens after that? It will only depend on Tristan's will. It won't be obvious. She gets that he will quickly get rid of the annoying stepmother and stepbrother. Damn, look at him, he looks badass as fuck. She just couldn't leave it like that, thinking that she wakes Liam up. A little bit confused since he just woke up, he asks his mother what was going on. Although he was her son, he will never be able to stand up to Tristan. She was planning up a vacation and she got a great idea. It was unfortunate, but there was a way. A weak hand is weak. This time she thought it would be pretty nice to spend it with family. Didn't he want to spend some time with his brother? It was more than obvious that she had an evil plan in her mind. Okay, personally I love the story. I will use the question of the day as an excuse to always make even more fancy animations. So, question of the day, what do you think that Vivian will do in order to get the Mackenzie family treasure? For those who didn't pay attention, Vivian is Tristan's stepmother. Without further ado, we are going back to the story right now. Subscribe to the channel. The child says that of course he wants to spend time, but his brother is always busy. Vivian says that Tristan needs to rest sometimes as well. She heard that Tristan's vacation is in the same time with them. She says that she feels sorry for him because she was always downcast after his father's death. Even if he didn't show it, it must have been really difficult for him. In times like those, they needed to be as supportive as a family as they can. Because the reality was that Tristan didn't open his heart to her. Just like she doesn't trust Tristan, that kid will never believe her, but while convincing the child to act accordingly to her plan, she was sure that Tristan could never doubt Lian. He was very happy, he really wanted to become closer to his brother. Okay then, shall they go shopping for clothes to wear on the vacation day? Liam was happy. He sprints out saying that he was going to talk with the nanny and get ready to get out. When Lian leaves, she starts talking to Kane. He said that there were people who do those things, right? Yes, if she wants to. Let's see, a terrible accident that occurred on a vacation. No. Tristan and Lian, the tragedy of two half-brothers who are on good terms. This would be such a better article. If Kane understood what she needed, she wanted him to contact those people soon. Looking at the papers on the table, she thinks to herself, what should she do with this woman? Listen, first of all, you absolute piece of shit, you won't do shit with Gia, okay? I'm reading this I'm reading this for the first time when I'm narrating, and I'm actually getting annoyed, like the nerve, she wants to kill Tristan, her own son, and maybe Gia in the same time. Brother, I hate her. She tells him that it's not worth worrying about that much. Attach a paparazzi or something and contact the broadcasting company in advice. If there was a scandal, they could see Tristan's reaction. This is exactly the kind of food reporters would love, right? Tristan Mackenzie's scandal partner is just a bodyguard messing around. Talking about the bodyguard, Gia, look at her, she looks so dope in this whatever, like the jacket, the training hoodie, the thingy. She was packing her things ready to leave. All her clothes were well organized in the bag ready to go. With that finished, she was sure that there was nothing left out. After closing the bag, she raises her head to check out the room one more time. The room was empty and the picture is kind of fucked up, but I'm just gonna leave it like that. This was strange. She's been there for a few years now. Leaving kind of made her a bit sad. Suddenly her phone starts ringing. After a second she answers and hears somebody saying, "It's me." A redhead girl was telling her that she was in LA now. She has business to attend to, so please make time to come out today. She needed to receive something from her regarding her father's will. What will? What was she talking about? Exactly what she meant. Her father has passed away. Okay, I don't know who this is, but Gia looked really sad hearing that. Now that I think about it, she doesn't look sad at all. She's just like poker faced, but since I get used to the character, I feel like she's sad. Like there's no expression on her face, right? But I feel like she's sad now. Okay, I'm curious what will happen next. Whenever she changed her place of residence, job or location, there was something that she always did as a habit. She always wrote a letter to the uncle and his wife who saved her life. Okay, I knew it. She was sad, dude. It was also as a courtesy to the savior of her life. She wanted him to know where she was and what she was doing. Someday she was going to meet him again. She wanted to thank him in person, but it looked like now it was too late. While holding her coffee, she was trembling. Without her realizing, somebody sits at the table and starts commenting on her drink. Damn, look at him. Holy, he looks really good. Okay, it was Tristan, who casually finds her and takes a seat. Gia was as surprised as me. I like how Tristan, again, appears out of nowhere. Every time, he's like a ninja, he's like, poof, he's there. How did he even get there? More importantly, she had an appointment there. There were only 15 minutes left. Okay, then just hang out with him for 15 minutes. She starts casually drinking his drink. He's like, nope, I don't care, I won't hear any complaints. What, was he following her footsteps? To some extent, that's true, because he already knew the radius of her actions. He was so confident in saying that, but did he know that she already noticed him? Well, he didn't try to hide it. He knew that she noticed. He ended up ostracizing. What is that word? He ended up I give up on this line. Gia says that anyone would feel the same if they realized that they are being followed. It was true, all the people that were hired by Tristan were skilled professionals, but it wasn't to the point that she couldn't notice it at all. Anyway, she wanted him to leave. The promised person will arrive soon. Also, putting people behind her, she wanted him to stop. It was very annoying. Why? He was just doing this to protect her. The thing that changed now was the fact that she couldn't let even the smallest fire go unnoticed now. Next time she might kill that person. Tristan goes like, So, who is he? The person who was targeting her? Just say his name. Tristan was going to solve it. Gia clenches her fist, saying that that was her problem alone. Tristan, the representative of the Mackenzie family, there was nothing good about being involved with Jesus, the boss of a crime syndicate. And she wasn't the only one who held a grudge against Jesus at that time. If something went wrong... What, did she think that that would be the end of it if she keeps her mouth shut? He was going to find out at some point. After all, it was only a matter of time before he puts his mind into it. Being angry, Gia gets up very fast, saying absolutely not, it's dangerous. While doing so, she accidentally spills the coffee that obviously lands right on Tristan. All that hot boiling coffee was now on his leg. Realizing that that must be really painful, Gia starts getting concerned. She quickly kneels down and starts trying to help Tristan clean up. Tristan was just watching her without any expression. The truth is that in life, everyone is bound to change. But looking at Gia right now, has she not changed at all? She was still the same. While she was still panicking, since she thought that Tristan was in pain, he grabs her by her hand. Tristan was very happy. It was very rewarding to see a face like that. It was very nice to know that she's still worried about him. He even said that he wanted to make her worry even more. A bit annoyed, she says that he'd better go to the hospital quickly. Why? Because he looks like a crazy person? No, it would be a big deal if he got burned. Even more, Gia kept insisting. Was it hard to get up? Should she call an ambulance? Tristan was still watching her like, what the heck? He starts laughing. Gia was really funny. She was getting more and more annoyed. This was nothing to laugh at. What if a scar remains? What do you mean, dude? You have claw marks on your shoulder. Well, time was up anyway. He should get going. He tells her to take care of her business. He will go to the hospital like she said. And Even if she didn't say anything, he was going to find it. What was she afraid of? Without giving her a chance to answer, he's like, and turns around and leaves. He's such a drama queen, I swear. Once again, thinking about Jesus, Gia was quiet and scared. Meanwhile, one of the employees come and help Gia clean the floor. She tells him to just give her the rag and she was going to clean it. While she was cleaning the floor, somebody arrives in front of her telling her that she's still living at her level. She looks up saying, "Long time no see." Her name was Rose. Okay, I like the way she's drawn, but for some reason the way she's drawn is giving me really beachy vibes. I think I will not like her, but we shall see. They both sit on the table and start drinking coffee. After they chat a bit, Gia gets a little bit annoyed. Her uncle passed away. Why didn't she contact her earlier? What, did she have any obligation to contact her? Slamming the table, she says that she guesses she was still mistaken. They were not her parents, they were her parents. As a child, Rose experimented with drugs and attempted to run away from home several times. She wandered a lot and upset her uncle and aunt, but both of them truly loved Rose and awaited for her return. She was a person who benefited from them. Obviously, she didn't want her benefactor's daughter to suffer. She never dreamed of replacing the real daughter, but at one night when she was sleeping, Rose came back home. Seeing her, she dropped her bag in shock. To Rose, her existence was something that she couldn't really understand. Rose says that if it weren't for the legacy her father left her, she wouldn't have seen her face again. Gia says that there was no need for an inheritance or anything like that. What, she was shamelessly thinking about receiving it then? Putting some documents on the table, Rose tells Gia that that was a pledge to give up her inheritance. Sign it. Her uncle, how did he die? To be exact, even her mom was with him. They were both in a car and they died in an accident. Seeing how sad Gia was, she smiles a bit, saying that if anyone sees her, they will think that she was the actual daughter. Was she that sad? Gia was quiet, she wasn't saying anything. It was because they were her benefactors. Rose was still laughing, saying that to her family didn't mean that much. Hearing that, Gia tells her to not say that, they both loved her so much. Rose screams at her, telling her to not be ridiculous. If that was the case, they shouldn't have given Gia her room. She returned with a tired body and mind and opened the door. And there she was, a skinny, ugly girl that was occupying her bed. Her parents made the excuse that they were only borrowing the bed for a while. It was as if her place to return was eliminated. She vented her sadness at the child who took her place. It was annoying that she never rebelled against her no matter what she did. She felt like she was pretending to be nice to stay home. She believed that one day her ugly nature would be revealed. Gia was trying to calm her down, telling her to not be angry, it was her fault. Obviously, this triggered Rose even more. She always made her into a bad person just like that. But Gia never once rebelled against her or told her off. She silently endured her anger. Until the day she finally left home. Gia says that she didn't mean it that way. Still annoyed, Rose says that if she's sorry, just sign it quickly. Obviously, Gia instantly signs it without hesitating. She gives her the paper saying that she was already done. She snaps the paper out of her hand, telling her to not talk nonsense later because she never wants to see her face again. Gia stops her a bit and asks her, since this was the last time they were talking, can she ask one thing? I mean, she was in a hurry, so speak quickly. Even though a lot of time passed, Gia was still thinking of the days when she was looking at her. So, was she still suffering every time when she saw Gia? What was she saying? What happened to her family was because of her. One time, Rose got really angry at that shameless face, and there was a time when she tried to cut it with a knife. She still clearly remembers her father's look that day. Seeing him, nobody could believe that he was looking at his own daughter. He looked disgusted. Until the end, her father didn't apologize. What the fuck do you mean apologize? Until the end, her father didn't apologize to her daughter for that look. Every day she saw her, it was painful. Whenever she saw her face, it made her so angry because it reminded her of all the shitty things she's been through. Gia calmly thanks her for her answer while getting up. Because now they will never run into each other again, she had nothing to worry about. Rose had no words until the very end. Gia was the same. She turns around on Ori, telling her that she couldn't live like that for the rest of her life. Without giving Gia any time to reply, she left. Gia remembered the day she broke up with her uncle. He was sitting in front of her apologizing. This was a decision that had to be made, even if it was a sad one. Looking at Gia, he says that she must be very resentful for this. Gia says that that is not possible. She was never resentful against him and her aunt. The uncle who was her benefactor passed away. She wanted to return the favor to Rose at least. Contrary to her feelings, if she's just bringing back bad memories, she was just going to disappear from Rose's life, and that was that. Rose tells her that it was her father who in the end gave up on her, so why was she making that expression? To the end, she should have insisted that the inheritance was hers, not Rose's. That way, Rose could keep swearing and blaming her. She doesn't get to finish her thought that somebody interrupts her. She had a child, a little girl. She apologizes since it took long, but the girl says that it's okay. Before she manages to get a taxi, a car pulls up behind her with, of course, Tristan. He asks her for a moment, it won't be her loss. After receiving a card from Tristan, she realizes who she was talking with. A little bit confused, she apologizes and asks him how does he know her. That guy was Chairman Mackenzie. He tells her that he had a debt to her late father. He wanted to return the favor to his daughter. He tells her to please contact him anytime she needed help. His lawyer will solve any of her problems. She smiles, thinking to herself that she didn't know when her father came across this guy, but this was her chance. This was a golden lottery. She shamelessly tells him that if he has to repay a favor to her father, please give it in money. It's the surest way to show sincerity, right? A few pennies would be nothing for him. He laughs a bit, saying that she's an honest person. He could even write a blank check for her if she wanted to. But if he was her, he wouldn't waste this opportunity like that. Changing his mood a bit, Tristan looks at her, saying that she feels sorry even after handing over all of her benefactor's inheritance. He was different from that idiot, and that idiot was Gia. In that moment, Rose realized what was going on. How could this be? Did he know that girl? Somehow, she said she was willing to give up her inheritance. It must have been a small amount of money compared to the amount of money she could get from such a rich guy. Laughing a bit, knowing what Rose was thinking, he tells her that this was one-sided. Rose was getting a little bit scared and tries to open the door. When she does so, she realizes that the door was locked. What's up with the translation on this one? Look, what are you going to do? Open this octopus. What do you mean? The translation of this manga is really bad. I'm doing my best here. While lamenting and trying to leave the car, Tristan tells her that Gia wasn't hitting her because she didn't have the strength. Rose was still trying to talk over him, but Tristan didn't stop talking. The reason why he was being so kind to Rose, it was because of Gia, because that is what that idiot would want. He will definitely provide her with the compensation he mentioned earlier. If she needed money, she could contact him anytime. But after paying the price for her father's grace, Tristan won't have to endure being nice to her anymore. A little bit later, we are back to, I think this is Gia's home, I'm not sure. The guy, whose name I forgot again, was knocking at her door, calling out her name. He was asking her to open the door. She was not dead, right? She's already been in her room for 2 days skipping meals. If she wasn't going to open the door, he was just going to come in. After a bit, she slowly opens the door, saying that she was alive. What happened to make him knock on the door like... Yep, it's Tristan again. Getting in like he owned the place, he asked her if this was her room. What on earth was happening here? The guy closes the door behind them, scaring Gia. Tristan wanted to talk with her, but she was a bit scared since now she was alone with Tristan. Obviously, her first intention was to go back to the living room since it was so spacious. She doesn't get to finish the sentence that Tristan interrupts her by pushing her against the wall. Tristan really didn't want that. He wanted to talk with her in private. What? Was she uncomfortable with him? she's like, no, nothing like that, but that was exactly the case. Smiling at her, she says that then it doesn't matter, they can just stay there. He wanted to talk privately there because it was a very personal story. Still a little bit hesitant, Gia sits on the bed and starts listening to Tristan. Getting a chair for himself, Tristan says that he doesn't know how much she's eaten lately because she was so skinny. After he sits down, he gets really close to Gia. Did she quit being Mrs. Wood's bodyguard? She tries to say no, it's a short vacation right now. Is that so? Then she will go with Miss Wood in her vacation, right? Thing is, she didn't hear the details since she said she was quitting. She tries to convince Tristan, saying I guess so, because I'm a bodyguard? Realizing what was going on, Tristan laughs at her a bit, saying yeah, you should, because you are her bodyguard, right? But wait, why did Tristan care about Mrs. Wood's vacation? While getting up, Gia thought to herself that she'll have to ask Miss Wood later. She tries to say that the ventilation isn't good there, so the air... She doesn't get to finish her sentence that she gets dizzy once again. Seeing that she was falling, Tristan grabs her by her shoulders. This was probably because she didn't eat too much lately. Tristan pushes her on the bed and gets on top of her. Hello? Hello? Is this safe for YouTube? Why does she keep trying to leave? Was she uncomfortable? What was going on with her? Does she think that he will do something? Gia was watching him without answering. Laughing a bit, he tells her to not be anxious. There could never be anything between them, right? Blushing a bit, she asked herself, why does he keep talking like that? His question was, why does she keep looking to the side when there was a person right in front of her? She says that because of her height, her gaze keeps looking in strange directions. What does that mean? Getting close to her again, he says, then just look at my face. When Tristan was young, even he felt uncomfortable since Gia kept looking at him. She really put him in trouble. So why can't she even make eye contact now? Literally screaming, she says that when she looks into his eyes, it feels like lying in the forest and looking at the sky. She just keeps looking at it without realizing it. Even in a dark jungle, he always shined. His eyes were a mixture of blue and green. To her, it was so pretty. She was young back then and didn't even know it was rude to look at him that way. Hearing all this, Tristan suddenly gets up like he was scared. Oh my god, look at him. He's blushing. My dude is suddenly shy. He's like, what are you talking about? I love this manga. In classical Gia fashion, she's like, Tristan, your face got really red. Tristan tries to blame it on an allergy or something like that. Obviously, Gia actually buys that. She's like, what? Allergy? Is that serious? She instantly goes to the window and opens it. Panicking even more, he makes Tristan sit on the bed. It was probably because of the dust. She was planning to call an ambulance as well. Allergies are really dangerous if you don't. He interrupts her by grabbing her hand. And then obviously he gets her a little bit closer to him. What about now? He's grown a lot since then. The eye color will also change. What did he look like to her now? Looking right into her eyes, Tristan was waiting for an answer. Even when Gia was young, she's never seen it that close before. No, oh my god, those eyes. No matter what jewels in the world you bring. And right as he said, she got lost in thought and kept staring without realizing. When she realizes she was doing it, she suddenly gets up apologizing. Look at Tristan's face, dude. She was still clueless, just as usual. Even so, Gia says that he is prettier now. It's much prettier when you see it up close. The person Tristan waited for more than half of his life, that person just told him the most wonderful confession in the world. While blushing, Tristan couldn't help but think to himself that this was against the rules. He really regretted that he didn't record it at least. A little bit later, they arrived at Tristan's mansion. She was glad that the symptoms have disappeared, but wouldn't it be better to go to the hospital instead? Tristan was like, nope, I am done with your worries. Didn't she know that her complexion was much worse? She looks so cute. He brought there her on purpose because he heard that she was hungry, but she just keeps picking those snacks. Why wasn't she just eating the right food? Well, the reason was because that food had the highest calories. A bit annoyed, Tristan is like, you are not even a soldier anymore, what do you mean calories? Well, this was okay to her because while she was eating, she was always counting her calories. That was not what he was saying. What he was trying to say was that it's better to eat something more delicious and diverse. Proper Gia fashion, she's like, that's okay, after some time I couldn't really feel the taste at all. Tristan stopped eating for a second. What did she just say? What did that even mean? She was not able to taste the food? Oh no. Wait, I'm getting a very bad feeling right now. If Gia dies because of a sickness, I will cry. I will turn off the recording and I will cry, and then I'll come back and record the voiceover. It was not like she couldn't taste anything. She could recognize the intense sweetness and bitterness. Tristan is like, what the He asks her if she's receiving any treatment, but she says that there is nothing uncomfortable about it. There is no pain. Also, she has her own favorite foods. Tristan was facepalming so hard. Okay then, what is her favorite food? She says that maybe foods with good texture like a crispy snack or anything like that. Also crunchy things and jelly, it's soft but chewy. Getting up, Tristan says that there is probably Liam's share of jelly in the kitchen. Since he was coming back more often, they had some snacks for him in the kitchen. He goes in the kitchen and starts looking for them. Since obviously he doesn't really go in the kitchen that much, he was kind of lost. Seeing that, somebody calls out to him. She even saved a seat for the two of them so they could spend some quality time together, and he left her sister alone at the table. Also, why was his face so grimy again? Did she know? Did she know what? That Gia lost her sense of taste. Did she know? Laura lost it. What do you mean she lost her sense of taste? Both of them are like... It could have been because of the drugs they used while in the jungle. Her sister was treated much more harshly than any of them. Oh my god, look at her. I forgot the way she looked when she was young. Other children were way too weak to do this. It was way much easier for Gia to do it herself since she was used to it. Making various excuses, her sister volunteered to take more and more tasks. Of course, there would be after effects. She was happy to see her sister again, so she didn't even think about this. Tristan says that he was short thinking. It was not like it was the end of it the moment she got out alive. To him, the world outside the jungle was always a safe and prosperous place. But to Gia, who saved him, it was no different from another jungle. After all, it was just a place where she had to survive. Both of them get suddenly interrupted by Gia. She looks cute as hell. Also, is that t-shirt an advertisement? I think that's an advertisement for something. I don't know what it is. Feel Life TM trademark. I don't know, I'll look it up. She apologizes, but it took so long that she came to check on him. She notices Laura there as well. Did she perhaps disturb them? No, she was okay. She just ran into him while trying to get some water. The jelly was hidden, so Tristan better stop looking for it. Tristan confirms that Laura just happened to come and help him find it. It was more than obvious that they were pretending to be friendly, but Gia was like, those two still get along well. Clueless. While he was looking, he also brought some fruits. Gia refuses, saying that she already ate her fill. She came there to say bye before she leaves. What was she talking about? There's still dessert. How long has it been since she ate dessert? A bit annoyed, Gia says that is enough. She wanted him to forget about the past and live his life. There was a time when she longed for a beautiful and peaceful life, but in the end, the path she chose was the path of survival. The paths that Tristan and her walked were briefly overlapped. That was all. From now on, they had to move on in their different worlds. So why was Tristan looking at him? She didn't want him to recall any bad memories. Hearing that, Tristan got angry, and he should be angry. I got angry as well hearing that. Everything that happened to him was not her responsibilities. Bad memories had nothing to do with Gia. She thanks him for saying that, and he's like, does this sound like a polite way of saying bye? I love Tristan. He's saying exactly what I'm thinking. He's blunt as hell. Gia was just a victim, so why does she keep? In that moment, Laura slams the table, telling Tristan to stop. He had to cool his head. That was not something to be angry at her sister. Gia tries to say something, but Laura quickly turns towards her, getting ready to hug her. It's like she's playing with a cat or with a dog or something. Laura wanted Gia to sleep there tonight with her, since they didn't spend time together for such a long time. In that moment, Tristan knew that was his cue to leave. He turns around and starts walking away. Laura was still a bit annoyed on him and his temper. Gia had nothing to worry about. There was absolutely no way that Tristan was angry at her. A little bit later, it was nighttime. Gia couldn't sleep. She was thinking that she should go back home like last time. Since it's the middle of night, she didn't think that she will get caught. But right in that moment, she heard the sound of a car engine. What was going on? Why was there a car coming at that time? She had a very bad feeling about this. She slowly gets up without making any noise in order to not wake Laura up. She sees one of Tristan's employees talking with somebody, telling him that most of the employees are asleep and be quiet. He was going to show him to the reception room shortly. He may be an ordinary visitor to Tristan, but this was weird. The atmosphere was way too harsh for that to be the case. It's strange that so many people came there. Oh shit! One of them asked them if they shouldn't have finished preparing to welcome guests a long time ago. He wanted to call someone there. In that moment, Gia was scared shitless. No way. This was the middle of America. How could that guy already? The Spanish accent still remained vivid in her mind. There was only one person who spoke like that, with a voice like that. She clearly remembered it. At this point, I think it's obvious who this person was. A mature and old version of Jesus. Damn dude, he aged like a fine wine. Okay, this was unexpected. I didn't expect Jesus to just casually walk into Tristan's mansion, but I guess that's that. That will be it for this video. Regarding part 4, I already have enough footage to make part 4, but first I will wait a bit and see how part 1, 2 and 3 will do on YouTube, like numbers, likes, comments, all that stuff. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, comment your favorite moment, answer the question of the day, etc. And if you're not subscribed, please do so, and see you in the next video.